In the medieval world, fear was not a side effect of justice. It was the system. Kings ruled not only with crowns and armies, but with pain. Pain designed so terrifying that even the powerful trembled at its whisper. This is not legend. This is recorded history. Behind castle walls and cathedral doors, devices were built, not to kill quickly, but to break the human spirit slowly. Some were so cruel they were never used on commoners. These instruments were reserved for traitors, nobles, and enemies of the crown, because even kings feared what these machines could do to a body and a mind. The church called it purification. The courts called it confession, but history remembers it as something else entirely. This was a time when truth didn't matter, only endurance did. And before we descend deeper into this dark chapter of history, remember to subscribe, because the stories you're about to hear were almost erased forever. Our first device was so feared its mere presence could end wars without a single blow. They called it the rack. Simple in design, infinite in suffering. Victims were stretched inch by inch until joints dislocated, muscles tore, and screams echoed through stone corridors. The executioner did not rush. Speed was mercy, and mercy had no place here. Kings approved its use, popes sanctioned it, and nobles begged never to face it. Many confessed to crimes they never committed, just to make it stop. And the worst part? The rack rarely killed. Survivors lived the rest of their lives in broken bodies, living warnings to others. If this history matters to you, subscribe now, because what comes next was feared even more. The iron chair was never meant to be efficient. It was meant to be unforgettable. Forged entirely from metal, it waited silently, as if listening. When a prisoner was seated, every movement became punishment. But pain was only the beginning. Beneath the chair, embers were placed, not flames, just heat. The metal warmed slowly, too slowly to escape, too slowly to scream once. Hours passed, skin blistered beneath clothing, bones absorbed the heat. Many victims fainted. They were revived, and the chair continued its work. Confessions were inevitable. Truth was irrelevant. Even royalty feared this device because rank offered no immunity. Next came a machine designed not for pain, but for silence. They called it the scold's bridle. It was fitted over the head, locked in place, and it punished speech itself. Inside the mask, a metal plate pressed against the tongue. One word spoken, and the pain became unbearable. This was humiliation as punishment, control as spectacle. Many wore it for days, some never spoke again. But silence was not enough for medieval justice. What followed was designed to attack the mind before the body. Total isolation, total darkness, total time distortion. Some prisoners begged for the rack just to feel something real again. And then came the device so feared, even its builders hesitated to use it. A machine that punished gravity itself. Next, the strappado. To face it was to surrender your body to physics and your soul to fear. Because once lifted, the fall always came. The strappado did not need blades. It did not need fire. Gravity did the work. The victim's hands were bound behind the back, wrists tied together, hope tied last. Then the body was lifted, slowly, until toes left the ground. At first, there was only pressure, a stretching discomfort. Then came the fall. The body dropped inches, sometimes feet, jerking the shoulders violently. Joints dislocated, muscles tore, breath vanished. Screams echoed so loudly they were recorded in court transcripts. Some versions added weights to the feet, not for speed, but certainty. Nobles feared the strappado most because it left visible proof. A king could hide many things. Dislocated shoulders were not one of them. But medieval cruelty was not finished. Some devices were designed to kill slowly, without ever drawing blood. This one was called the crushing walls. The prisoner was placed inside, the door closed. Then the walls began to move. Not fast, never fast. Hours passed. Breathing became impossible. Many lost consciousness before the end. Executioners listened for silence. But kings feared this device for another reason. It could be used without witnesses. No screams, no crowds, no mercy. And then there was the device that turned time itself into a weapon. A cage designed not to torture the body, but patience. Days passed, then weeks. By the end, death was relief. And still, we have not reached the device kings feared most. There was one device so feared that even kings restricted its use, not because it was illegal, but because it was uncontrollable. It did not rely on strength. It did not rely on precision. It relied on inevitability. They called it the breaking wheel. Once bound to it, there was no reversal, no pause, no mercy. Each strike was calculated, not to kill, but to prolong awareness. Bones failed one by one, but consciousness remained. Some victims lived for days afterward, displayed as warnings. Kings feared this device because once it began, it could not be stopped without scandal. A misjudged sentence could turn the crowd, and fear, once unleashed, does not respect rank. By the late medieval period, even monarchs began to retreat from such methods, not out of compassion, but out of fear of what cruelty creates. These devices were not mistakes of history. They were deliberate tools of control, built by craftsmen, approved by courts, sanctioned by crowns, and feared by all who understood their purpose. History often remembers kings as rulers. Rarely does it remember what they feared. Pain was their language, fear was their law, and these machines were their grammar. If this history matters, if remembering it matters, then support this channel. Like the video. Share it with those who seek truth. Leave your thoughts in the comments. History survives because it is spoken. And subscribe, because what we haven't covered yet is even darker. This was only the beginning. In the next chapter, we reveal the punishments history tried to erase and the people they were meant to silence.